As we work our way upstairs, this is when shit starts like not adding up, if you know what I mean.
Shit never is as bad as it seems. Fuck a lifespan, this is just one long dream.
How's it going, everyone? It's your man, Lost Disciple, the voice box for the fucking underground of YouTube. And as you could tell by the intro, today's a story time. Last time we did one of these, it was on 420, and if you haven't checked it out, I'll put a card in the top right so you can look at it. It's pretty funny. Give it a watch. So without any further ado, let's just hop right into the story. So my mom's looking to move out of the place that she's in currently, and I took it amongst myself to help her look for a new place to move into. And while doing so, I also plan on moving into my own place, or moving out of the place that I currently live in, because I gotta move as well. So we're looking on Zillow for houses, and we come across a pretty decent looking place. It's got 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and everything, like the pictures look nice. There's enough parking for the cars, even though she only has 1, but when I pull up, 2 cars. And the only kind of problem is that there's it's one of those houses where your neighbors are next door, but it kind of splits off into a U. So only in where the living room is, or where one of the living room is, you'd be able to maybe hear the neighbors. But other than that, it was a pretty decent place, other than the fact that you had someone living next door to you. So my mom sets up an appointment to go see the place on Monday, and Monday comes around, and we eventually go to look at the place. Also, I forgot to mention that the landlord in the description also mentioned that he only wanted, he preferred to rent to Spanish speakers. Now, I can't speak a fucking lick of Spanish, but my mom can. So that kind of helped us a little bit in our favor. So we get there on Monday, and because I can't speak Spanish, my mom, she was the person that was going to be talking for most of the shit. So we get to the house, and no one's there. Usually when you set up an appointment to go look at a place, usually the landlord is there, amongst the property waiting for you to get there. So we get there and we notice the only people are there is the people next door. So at first I'm like, is this the right place? And my mom's like, yeah, this is the house. And I'm looking at the house and making sure, checking the address. I'm like, okay, this is the right house. And the right side of it was empty. So I'm looking through the windows and shit, looking at the kitchen. It's a pretty nice kitchen. I'll explain that into later detail when we get inside the house. So I'm like, well, can you call the landlord and tell him that we're here? And she's like, no, there's no number. He didn't give me a number. So I'm like, interesting. Okay. So my mom checks the backyard and says there's a lady sitting in the backyard. So she's like, hey, is there a way that you can contact the landlord? I'm here to see the apartment that's empty on the right side. And the lady's like, oh yeah, we own it. So that right there is one red flag, because you do not want to live next to your landlord or anywhere near your landlord, to be honest with you, if you are renting a place to live in. So, okay, so that first we kind of sets us off, oh, so they live right there. So, she gets her son, because it wasn't I guess she wasn't the one that was going to be doing the negotiations. It was her son. So it's her son and my mom talking, and they let us inside, they unlocked the front door, and we're looking around. So because I can't speak any fucking Spanish, I just took it amongst myself to just be the guy that goes around the house, and I'm checking shit, making sure there's no mold, making sure everything's good, creaks in the floor, outlets. So the kitchen was fucking beautiful, bro. There's it had an island in the middle with the little bar stool tables, fucking granite tabletops and countertops. Had a dishwasher, the double sink, that kitchen was set the fuck up. A really, 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 really nice kitchen, and it had a half a bathroom right on the off, right off of it. So that was pretty decent. Well, not pretty decent, pretty efficient, I meant to say. And there was it connected to a dining room, and the dining room connected to the living room, and the living room. Oh no, it connected to a dining room and a living room. But there was also another living room as you walked into the kitchen. As you walked into the house. So, for example, say you're walking through the front door. To the left of you is a staircase to go upstairs. In front of you is one living room. To the right of you is another living room. And if you go into the living room on the right, there's a little hallway or doorway, and it'll take you into the dining room, which will connect to the kitchen. And then if you didn't take that right and you kept going straight and walked into the other living room, there was a little hallway right there that had another staircase that would take you upstairs, and then kept going straight. It was the kitchen. So the downstairs is fucking huge. So I'm like, there's 2 living rooms? I'm like, the fuck do you need 2 living rooms for? But anyway, I'm thinking maybe you could put a computer in here or something or whatever. So I'm like, okay, the downstairs is pretty nice. It's got 2 fucking living rooms, a dining room, and a nice ass kitchen. So I go upstairs, and as we work our way upstairs, this is when shit starts like not adding up, if you know what I mean. So on the like listing for the property, it said it had 4 bedrooms, right? So I'm looking, I'm like, okay. I walk around, we see 1 bedroom, and it's a bedroom that connects to like another bedroom. Like it had like a little doorway like through the closet, and if you opened the door in the closet, it would take you into the other bedroom. Some weird, like, it's an old ass house, like kind of like an old house but not old, but it's some weird old fashioned house type shit. So there's those 2 rooms, and then there was a room that was across from a bathroom, which was the 3rd room. And then so I'm like, okay, 3 rooms. I'm like, where's the 4th one? So I'm thinking the 4th one isn't the one downstairs. They don't intend one of those living rooms to be a room, do they? Like, nah, they said 4 bedrooms. So I'm only counting 3, and I'm walking around all over upstairs. I'm like, where the fuck is it? And as I'm walking upstairs, I notice that there's a staircase that leads to nothing. Like, I mean, like an actual staircase, not like a man-made, like, not, well, it's man-made, but like not no half-ass, like faulty, shoddy ass staircase. I mean, like an actual staircase that just led up straight to the ceiling. So that part clicked in my head. So as my mom's talking to the landlord, I'm laughing, like, you see the staircase to nothing? And he says like, oh, they had to cover it up. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe that's an attic, right? Trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. And as my mom's talking to the guy, I hear that, they're saying, my mom's asking him, why'd the other tenants leave? Because you always got to ask that question. That place is empty. The people before, the people that were living here before left for a reason. So my mom's like, oh, why'd they leave? So the guy's like, oh, there was an issue with the water bill. So when he said that, my mom was like, oh, so there's a water bill. Like, we have to pay for the water. So usually now when you're renting, the tenant doesn't pay for the water. They pay for their hot water, but they usually don't pay for the cold water. Now, I was like, oh, so there's a water bill. The guy's like, yeah, it's going to be at least like $250 to $300 a month. Now I'm thinking, okay, I've never paid a water bill. I'm thinking, okay, that sounds not about right, but maybe it's about right. So my mom's like, oh, okay, how many people are living next door to you? Or like, how many people live in your apartment? And he's like, 7. So it's him. This is the crazy part. It's him, his mom, his grandparents. So that's already 4 people. And I think 3 kids. That's 7. So 7 heads live next door. So I'm like, huh, that's strange. So my mom's okay. She's, we're thanking them for letting us see the house. And we get in the car and we get home. We're like, we like it. But those things I mentioned was just like, it's not sticking with us well. And especially that whole issue with the water bill. So we get home and my mom's like, hey, something's not right about that place. And I was like, what is it? What do you think it is? And she's like, the people left last time because of the water bill, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, usually tenants don't pay for the water bill. And she's like, I've never paid a water bill. I'm like, I only have one other apartment. I've only lived by myself in one place. So in that one place, I didn't have to pay for the water either. So I'm like, yeah, I never paid a water bill. So we're thinking, it's like, And she's like, I wonder if she's like, well, that is the reason why they left. And I'm thinking, okay, how many people do they have next door? And they're like 7. So I was like, all right, well, let's see how much on average the household uses. Like, how much an average household water bill would cost for a family of 4. And that shit's like on average, I'm pretty sure it said like $75. So I'm thinking anywhere from $70 to $125 would be reasonable. Because like if you use a lot of water, shower, laundry, all that stuff. So I'm thinking if it's on average, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt, $1.25, not even, we'll just say a solid buck. Then this nigga is pocketing $200 worth of money. Where is it going? So then I'm like, nah, that's not right. So then we're trying to figure out, because then it's like, okay, this nigga only wanted to rent to Spanish speakers. So was he trying to get some Spanish people that don't really know too much about, this type of stuff to trick their asses into having them like get more bread? And then my mom's like, nah. She's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we find out, like, because we're trying to figure out what kind of Spanish they were. So, like, for Spanish speakers, if you speak Spanish, it might be the same like this for other languages, but I don't speak other languages, but I know for Spanish people it's like this. depending if you're like Puerto Rican or Dominican or Mexican or something, usually they could tell. If it's not by the way you look, it's by the way you speak, like your accent. I never knew this, but I learned this from my mom and someone I'm talking to. So they're putting me on to a little bit of my Spanish culture that I don't know shit about. So I'm like, oh, interesting. So she's like, they're not Dominican, they're not Puerto Rican, they definitely didn't look Mexican. So I'm like, maybe they're like Colombian or Ecuadorian or something, because like the mom looked like she could be like an Ecuadorian, and the guy, because her son was white, so I'm like, he looked like he could be Colombian. So I'm asking her, I'm like, was there any word that he said that was kind of like stood out that you don't really like recognize? She said, yeah. He was like, whenever he said okay, he said listo. And I was like, I looked up like, what Spanish, speakers say listo, and it was Colombians. So we're like, oh, these niggas is Colombians. And my mom's like, yeah, them niggas is grimy. And we start laughing. Oh, my dog is barking. Try to like knock that out. So I start laughing, and I'm like, damn. And then my mom's like, you know what's funny too? He never even said like where he works. He just said he works out of state. So I'm like, he doesn't work, like he doesn't have a job. He never told you where he worked. He's like, no. And I'm like, damn. So he's Colombian. He technically didn't tell us where he had a job at. His number wasn't listed into the thing where we can call him for the property to check in. And this nigga's trying to scam us to give him at least an extra $225 for this water bill. Something ain't right. So obviously we didn't take the place, and you can call me an asshole for profiling, but if cops can do it to us, I can do it to us too. Shit, I think that nigga's up to no good if you ask me. Moral of the story is, everybody's gonna be moving soon, whether you believe it or not. Shit's about to be hitting the fan, but always make sure, if you're ever gonna move into a place, always, and even when you're buying a car, I have another story about this too. Never let your guard down and check for everything, and always get the details, and get the Carfax, and get the house facts, because without those, you'll be fucked. And I'll see you guys in the next video. If you liked, leave a like. If you dislike it, then drop a fat dislike. And my name is Lost Disciple, the voice box of the underground of YouTube, and peace out.
Take you out. Look, now my brain is buff. I started through the day just on the 1600s. Hope you will brace the stunt and out your playbook. Look, you ain't impressing nothing. If we get it, you on a whole nother grind. Now let us be, we rise the paintings from a whole nother time. Oils on the canvas, you up on my mind. I wish we could hop in these pictures and hear for why.